Yes, we're serious. At Desserts Without Regrets, located in Gilbert's, we bake for people who read labels. Custom cookies, celebration cakes, and treats made with clean ingredients and zero guilt. No walk-ins, because great dessert takes planning. Pre-order only at dessertswithoutregrets.com or call Daria at 312-610-9033. That's Desserts Without Regrets, because dessert should never be a regret.
All the other planter box treatments, they're playing catch-up. BioBoost doesn't just replace talc and graphite. It uses microbes to fuel early vigor and drive season-long performance, helping corn and soybeans deliver at least a 3 times return on investment. That's a yield advantage of 7.41 bushel per acre on corn and a 3.92 yield advantage on soybeans. Get BioBoost today. Visit bwfusion.com/trustthedust to learn more.
It's time to wake up.
Yes!
And lock in to On the Rise.
Yes!
With host Mike Napolitano.
Cub fans have every right to be disappointed if this Cubs team continues on the trajectory that they're on and they miss the playoffs or, at best, get a wild card spot. You are cooked at that point.
Mamma mia!
Dalton Cooper.
Like, I would look out for my friends and be like, hey, you know, if you're ranking a little bit, I'm gonna let you know. I feel like that's a good friend. I'd be like, hey, did you smell yourself, or did you maybe did you fart, but something doesn't smell right.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And Nick Johnston.
For the most part, to be fair, I don't want to completely, justify a sweep, but the Royals are red hot right now. Vinny Pasquantino might be Ted Williams reincarnated. I'm just kind of throwing that out there.
On WRMN 1410 AM, the voice of the Valley.
Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of On the Rise here on AM 1410 WRMN. Mike Napolitano here in the studio, all alone today. But don't worry, we'll still bring you your same great sports content. You just heard David Tees and his show bringing you a lot of USA soccer talk. And newsflash, we are not going to stop. You can't see because of the ad. Maybe I'll stand up. We have some technical difficulties with the camera, so this is a different angle, different camera. We're going to adjust that during the commercial break. But if you're listening to us on the airwaves and you can't see us in general, just know I've got my Landon Donovan I'm rocking right now just because USA Soccer, there is a chance. There is a legitimate opportunity for the men's national team to win the World Cup. And I know we were talking about this last week, and Mike, you're delusional. Dalton, maybe you're delusional. That's what they were saying, right? But let me tell you, there is a path, and we're going to break it down. We're going to get into it a little bit as the tournament goes on, but we got to talk about the now, right? The now in this tournament is how good the USA has played through 2 games. Of course, we talked last week about their 4-1 victory in their first match against Paraguay. USA goes on and defeats Australia 2-0. Australia, a very interesting team, by the way. A couple of different Italians on Australia due to Italians immigrating to Australia and stuff. Literally, one of their defenders' names, one of their wingers' names is Italiano. Very nice, very nice. But it was the USA in the 11th minute, an own goal from Cameron Burgess of the Australian side. That was because Florin Balogun sends this ball into the box, and there's really nothing that Australia's defense could do on this one. You got to get a foot on it to get it out, because if not, it goes back to Dest. Instead, they get a foot on it and put it in their own net. 1-0 USA from the 11-minute mark. And then Alex Freeman, the son of Antonio Freeman, who won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. They were playing, of course, out in Seattle, so they made many references to the fact that Antonio Freeman, Alex Freeman's father, won a Super Bowl with Green Bay and did so, played many times out in Seattle at that very same stadium against the Seahawks. And here's his son, Alex Freeman, getting his first World Cup goal on that same field. He was almost ruled offside, but they went to the VAR and they decided, nope, that is not the case. He was onside. This was a free kick from just outside the 18. that was sent right back to the top of the box after it was redirected, so everybody had to come back onside. Luckily, the outstretched leg and honestly the entire defender on Australian side kept him onside. It was ruled, of course, they looked at the line itself. The assistant referee on the sideline, the AR, must have not been quite even with the final defender and just kind of making it. It's a quick turnaround on that play. I'll give some leeway to the AR in that situation, but 2-0 United States, and they wouldn't look back from there. They also didn't need another tally, although they came close a couple of times with about 15 minutes to go in the game. There was about 6 added minutes onto the final time, but nothing that Australia could do in order to get back in this one. So through 4 halves, the USA has scored a total of 6 goals and have won 2 games. 6 points. They take Group D. They officially qualify to move on to the round of 32. Yes, the round of 32, not 16. There's 48 teams in the World Cup this year. They're adding, of course, making this a little bit bigger of a tournament. But that means that the USA, what do they have coming up? They have one more game next Thursday is the 25th against Turkey. That'll be a 9 p.m. game, a late game. Here in the States, though, this game is going to be held. Give me some, you know what? There's so many host cities. I got to double check where this is. Yeah, SoFi Stadium out in Los Angeles. So this will be the Los Angeles hub for the World Cup. USA getting to play on their home turf pretty much the entire time in this tournament. But then it will be on July 1st that the USA will play in the round of 32. We will have to see who they're matched up against when we look at the World Cup bracket and the standings. But it will be the winner of Group D, I believe. Forgive me if I'm going to butcher. I'm going to have to look this up on the fly. What other bracket they would play? But it would be Group D versus whoever else makes it on. It's going to be one of those either second place or third place teams that sneaks in. So the U.S. might have a nicer time in that round of 32, and quite honestly, that next week move on to the round of 16. Now, people were saying that if the USA moves on, they could end up playing on July 4th against England, which would be pretty funny. On America's 250th birthday, you play against England in Philadelphia, I must add, one of the most patriotic cities here in America. I mean, you've got the Liberty Bell, you've got all the history, but it doesn't look like it's the case based on the schedule. I'll have to double check that for certain, but it looks like it would be a July 1st game, which means they're not going to turn around and play on July 4th. However, it is possible. I mean, this tournament, this is going to go on for about 7 weeks or so. They say 8. It's not really going to take the full 2 months, but we will see. As far as your tables go, Mexico, another host country in this one, as this is the first ever World Cup that is 3 different countries hosting. It is a North American tournament. Mexico showing out and showing up. They are in the lead in Group A. 2 wins, just like the U.S. They have not conceded a goal yet. 3 goals for, none against. They've got their 6 points. They just played South Korea. South Korea, of course, losing that game, so they are 1-0-1. Czechia, lower on in that bracket, also tied with South Africa with a draw and a loss each apiece. Another host country, Canada, the only host country that is not undefeated, they are undefeated, but they don't have the full 2 wins. They have a win and a draw. So they have 7 goals for, 1 against. That's pretty impressive, although they are playing in a little bit easier of a Group B. They have 6 goals for, 7 goals for, like I mentioned, 1 goal against for their positive 6 goal differential. They have Switzerland, Bosnia, Herzegovina, pardon me, and then Qatar in their group stage. They've already played 2 of their matches already. That was against Qatar and Bosnia. So they are, as I said, 1-0-1. Or excuse me, 1-1-0 with the draw. Group C, that's another one to look at, but surprisingly, a team that you would think would be undefeated through this group stage, Brazil. They are, but they have a draw. 1 win, 1 draw. That draw is with Morocco, who has stunned a lot of people in the last World Cup. Smaller nation, getting a chance to improve on their football skills. Scotland and Haiti bringing up the rear in that one. We get to Group D. United States, of course, played Paraguay and Australia, 2 wins. Turkey at the very bottom of the standings, and I think a lot of people were predicting that Turkey would be the next best team in this group. Yet they fall all the way to the bottom here. The USA, I guess if you were to say another team that they were going to maybe struggle against, was maybe Australia. And they made short work of them. So do I predict the USA to go 3-0 in this group stage? Absolutely, at this point. Another team to look out for. They've only played 1 game thus far, but that was a win for them. In fact, it was a 7-1 victory against Morocco. Germany, boy, oh boy, did they just unleash the beast last weekend against Curacao. And then they will play the Ivory Coast in their next matchup, which is scheduled for today. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff. So, yeah, look out for Germany. That is going to be a team that you don't want to mess with. They should take this Group E confidently. You get into some of the lower groups. There's only a couple more teams that I really want to point out, so I'm not going to go through every single group here. But, I mean, Group F, I think it's surprising that the Netherlands aren't leading this group, but it's Sweden up top with a win. A lot of these groups, though, these later groups, have only played their first match. A lot of their second matches are coming today or tomorrow, so as the weekend and the week concludes. Germany will play their next matchup against Ivory Coast, as I mentioned. Then we get into... where are we at here? That was that Group F was Sweden, Japan, Netherlands, and Tunisia. Group G, New Zealand, Iran, Belgium, Egypt. No one has a win in that group. All draws, which is very surprising, but also kind of not. I mean, I would think Uruguay would have a win in their first matchup. They didn't get the job done. A 1-1 draw with Saudi Arabia. A 0-0 draw with Spain and Cape Verde. So Group H also all draws. So you have Group G and Group H, all draws. And then, of course, you get into Group I. You got to look out for France and Kylian Mbappe. They got a win in their first game. 3 goals for France. Kylian Mbappe, a phenomenal one from outside the 18. And that one helps France defeat Senegal. Senegal really, really no chance in that one. Norway also getting a win. They sit atop the division because that was a 4-1 finish. But let's take a look at another man that everybody has their eyes on in this World Cup. They're saying it could be his final World Cup. That would be Lionel Messi and Team Argentina. Wow. Wow. Exactly 20 years to the date that Lionel Messi made his, 24 years to the date that Lionel Messi made his FIFA World Cup debut. And Messi with a hat trick. And not only FIFA World Cup debut, FIFA World Cup goal. He scored his first goal 24 years ago on the same day that you flash forward 24 years later, 2026, he scores a hat trick to retake the lead for most World Cup goals. Now, that lead had been taken from him earlier that day with that beautiful Kylian Mbappe goal that I was telling you about. Messi said, hold my adult beverage real quick as I go out and score a 3-0 Argentina win over Algeria. A big 3 points for Argentina as the defending champs in this FIFA tournament to once again assert their dominance. Austria won as well. They defeated Jordan, so those two lead Group J. Group K, not a whole lot to report. Colombia leading that one with a win. We've got Congo, who drew with Portugal, though. That one was surprising because no goal, no response the next day from Cristiano Ronaldo. Everybody kind of thought that Cristiano Ronaldo would take some offense to Kylian Mbappe and Messi scoring in their debut games here in 2026. So it was probably going to be Cristiano Ronaldo getting on the scoreboard. He does not. In fact, Portugal only scores the one goal, and it's not enough to get them over the Congo. So Portugal is sitting third in Group K, and that could spell disaster for Cristiano Ronaldo if they don't get their next win. They do have Uzbekistan and Colombia in their bracket. Uzbekistan in that group, they will play next. But then that final game against Colombia, if they slept on the Congo, right? They don't sleep on Colombia. Otherwise, you could see yourself missing. I don't think Uzbekistan is going to take a spot in this to move on. But if Portugal finishes third, you're not going to get a very favorable round of 32 for Cristiano Ronaldo and the Portuguese. Group L, that's the other one that USA is keeping a close eye on. This is a really good group. England, Ghana, Panama, and Croatia. I mean, this is a powerhouse right here. All four nations with superb men's national teams and men's programs. We've seen Ghana knock out the U.S. before. We've seen Panama and Croatia go deep into the elimination rounds. Croatia, I think, shocked a lot of people in 2022. They're a much smaller country, but they focus on their football. They focus on their soccer. So, I mean, that could be a dark horse here as they were in 2022. Maybe people would expect it a little bit more. Unfortunately, they're sitting at the very bottom of this group, but that's only through one game. England, they defeated Croatia 4-2. And then Ghana gets the 1-0 victory over Panama. So things are closer than they may seem, or, I mean, just still very early here in the runnings in Group L. So that is how we get through the FIFA World Cup table here in 2026. And we'll be bringing you more soccer news as the tournament rolls on here, and also, like I was mentioning, as we get into that round of 32, because the U.S. clinched already. But what did I say at the very start of the show? That the U.S. has a legitimate chance to hoist the FIFA World Cup. And I know you're thinking I'm crazy. You might think another man by the name of Zlatan Ibrahimovic is crazy. But I'll tell you, even though he speaks in the third person most of the time, it's true. It is. If he says it, it is true. Zlatan Ibrahimovic went on the intermission reports and post-game shows as the Fox soccer coverage rolls on. And they asked him, right, sitting right there at the table next to Alexi Lalas and some of his coworkers there that have played, they know the game. He said, they said, does the USA have a legitimate chance of winning the World Cup? And you know what he said? He said, yes. Zlatan has spoken. Zlatan has spoken, and he said, yes, I believe it, and you should too. When we talk about Fox Sports, we are a Fox Sports radio station here at AM 1410 WRMN. I'm Mike Napolitano. We're coming to you live from Studio 14, AM 1410 WRMN's On the Rise. Fox Sports, our partnership. You can catch all of their shows throughout the week on our airwaves. But if you want to join in the conversation here today, phone line 847-931-1410. That's 847-931-1410. Or you can text in at 505-926-1410. That's 505-926-1410. 1410 if you'd like to text in. There's also the YouTube chat if you're watching us online on YouTube. But feel free to jump in the conversation at 11 a.m. We will be joined by the Kane County Cougars' very own big hitter, designated hitter, first baseman and outfielder Todd Lott. We'll talk a little bit about the back-to-back championships, talk about the baseball classic, the World Baseball, that's WBC, BCL, the Baseball Champions League, but that'll be a fun one. We haven't really caught up since we talked to Josh Schaub, the commissioner of the American Association, about the Baseball Champions League. So we'll kind of recap how that went. And I don't know if you saw our interviews earlier this week, the one with specifically Claudio Finau, Todd Lott's teammate, playoff MVP last year, hitting a grand slam in the top of the 10th of Game 5 of the championship to clinch the championship. It's a best-of-5 series, so that was do or die for the Cougars right there, and Claudio came up big. Todd Lott came up big all playoff long. I mean, we talk about grand slams. That man had a few just in the postseason alone, and the Cougars are right back to it this year. But if you saw those interviews I was talking about that I was getting to, you'll know that the Kane County Cougars had some bus troubles up in Winnipeg. Crazy. Speaking of Winnipeg news, we'll jump into hockey a little bit, even though the season is come to a wrap. It has come to a wrap both on the NHL side and the AHL side. Some good news to report, some bad news to report, depending on how you see it. But we've got to talk some hockey as well because a certain Chicago Blackhawks captain retires. I think you know who I'm talking about. Plus, we've got another Rev Entertainment group here when we talk baseball that had a big giveaway night last night. Unfortunately, they did not have a big night defensively, so the Boomers falling in that one. We'll get to some Boomers and Cougars news. Of course, we'll be talking to Todd for that half hour right at 11 o'clock. But more baseball. As you know, the White Sox and Cubs are rolling on. Who is Junior Perez? That is the question. Oh, yeah, he's the man who got his first MLB hit and his first MLB home run last night against Tarek Skubal. Of course, the White Sox still fall in that one. They've had a rough week, but they've played some tough opponents. We'll hopefully see them get back to it this evening, or I guess this afternoon, against the Detroit Tigers. And the Cubs, are they finally figuring it out? Kinda, not really. PCA did offensively. It's not going to do it for you guys. That's not going to do it. So a lot more baseball news coming up here on AM 1410's On the Rise. Hockey, we've got some basketball headlines as well for the Chicago Bulls in the offseason. What? Mike, you're crazy. You're talking Chicago Bulls in the offseason? Yes, we are, because there have been some great things coming out of Chicago, and we'll see if it translates into maybe some wins next year. We could only hope, right? And that should be about it. I don't think I'm missing anything with the actual soccer teams here on pause due to the World Cup. We'll see that resume back in July. Speaking of which, one of those, I should mention, I don't know if we did last week, on that USA team, third string keeper, Chicago Fire keeper, Chris Brady, representing for Team USA. So we'll get a chance to see if they probably won't need him. It'll probably be Matt Freese the entire time, but we'll see Chicago represented a little bit. Brian Gutierrez playing for Team Mexico, although he no longer plays for the Fire, so a little bit bittersweet, but Chicagoland native playing for his, I guess, wouldn't be his home nation, his nationality, playing for his national team. And then that's about it as far as soccer news. So we'll jump more into baseball with the White Sox and the Cubs when we come back here. A lot of firsts for this White Sox team, and it doesn't slow down with the rookies absolutely tearing it up for this White Sox, the South Side. We'll be back with more. You can follow us on all of our socials, On the Rise or WRMN. I'm Mike Napolitano. You're listening to On the Rise. We'll be back with baseball.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. The Chicago Wolves stayed alive in the American Hockey League Calder Cup Finals. They beat Toronto 4-3 in overtime last night in Game 4. Toronto still up 3-1 in the series. Game 5 is tonight in Toronto. If the Wolves stay alive, Game 6 will be Sunday in Rosemont. 5-1 win for the White Sox in the Bronx over the Yankees. Sean Burke got the win. He's 4-4. 7 1/3, 8 strikeouts, 1 run on 5 hits and a walk. 2 homers in the win for the White Sox. Colson Montgomery hit a solo shot in the second. Then Andrew Benintendi hit a grand slam in the 8th. The Sox head to Detroit where they start a series with the Tigers tonight. 2-5 Eric Fetty faces 3-3 Tarek Skubal. The Cubs were off Thursday and start a series at home this afternoon against the Blue Jays. 3-2 Ben Brown, the scheduled starter. The NBA draft starts on Tuesday. The Bulls have the 4th and 15th picks in the first round. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams sale and get 30% off Super Paint, Super Deck, and Woodscapes products June 12th through the 22nd. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
Progressive knows it ain't easy navigating the open plains of home insurance, but there is one man who can help tame that wild herd of options. The Home Quote Explorer.
Note, Progressive's Home Quote Explorer is not a real person, but an online tool that lets you compare home insurance.
He's the type of feller who helps you decide on the right insurance, even if it ain't with him.
Again, not a person, just an online tool that helps you find great home coverage.
A real pioneer.
Okay, fine. Just do the thing. Yeah! Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations.
For nearly 50 years, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council and Kane Senior Council have been dedicated to serving seniors in DuPage and Kane counties. Established in 1975, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council is a volunteer-driven 501c3 non-for-profit organization committed to helping older adults live with dignity. From providing nutritious meals to offering support services, the Kane Senior Council is there every step of the way. With programs designed to enhance independence and quality of life, they're proud to make a difference in the lives of their senior neighbors. To learn more or to volunteer, visit them at 418B Airport Road in Elgin or head to their website at caneseniorcouncil.org. Give them a call at 630-338-0999. That's 630-338-0999. That's the Kane Senior Council, caring for seniors because they deserve to live with dignity and respect. Visit caneseniorcouncil.org or call 630-338-0999 today.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by KFC. Starting this afternoon, sunny with a high near 78. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low around 58. Looking ahead to Sunday, rain showers are likely, with mostly cloudy conditions and temperatures around 64 in the afternoon. Sunday night will bring more rain showers, with a low near 56. Currently, it's 67 and clear. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Welcome back to AM 1410 WRMN's On the Rise. Mike Napolitano here in the studio representing for the entire cast today. Make sure you follow us on socials. That is AM 1410 on Instagram, Facebook, and also On the Rise on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We do have a YouTube channel for On the Rise now as well, separate from the WRMN YouTube channel, but make sure you're subscribed if you're not already listening on there. Tune in. We'll have so much sports news here for you, but we got to continue along here. If you wanted to join into the conversation on the phone line, 847-931-1410 or 505-926-1410 for the text line. I see some of you watching along here on the YouTube as well. And 24 years, and all Messi got was a hat. No, he's got a World Cup championship as well. They won in 2022, if you remember that exciting penalties finish in the World Cup final in 2022 in Qatar. That was his first, though. I mean, it's really hard to win a World Cup, which is why, I there is still a little doubt in my mind that the USA can pull it off and get things done here. But if Messi can do it, I know, which is such a funny thing to say, but Messi, it took him all those years to do it. So, hey, it could take the U.S. all these years to finally do it this year. As far as things going on in the U.S., the MLB season rolling right along here. It's been exciting for the Southsiders, at least as of late, although they go on the road after a win in the series against the Dodgers. We got to go back, though, to that Dodgers series. A win on Friday night, an 8-2 victory. This White Sox team explodes against the Dodgers. We kind of talked about that because going into Saturday's game, I was previewing that it would be Yamamoto versus Burke. Yamamoto almost throws a perfect game against the White Sox. That would have been the second perfect game in Chicago sports history. And what I mean by that, of course, you're looking at me going, but Michael, the Chicago White Sox alone have 3 perfect games. Yes, 2 of them were pitched on the road. That would be Philip Umbers back in 2012. Yeah, wow, I'm losing my years here. Of course, everybody knows Mark Burley's in 2009. That was the famous one. That was the less fluky of one as far as White Sox perfect games go. But Yamamoto almost doing it for the Dodgers against the White Sox. The White Sox don't even get a base runner until the 8th inning. Mookie Betts with an error at short, which allows the runner to get on. But if you notice, that's an error, right? So no hitter still intact for Yamamoto. We could still be seeing history. In fact, we did not. That would be Tristan Peters in the bottom of the 9th with a solo home run to save the White Sox. They fall 7-1. And you're going into Sunday going a rubber match with the defending World Series champs. I don't see the White Sox getting the win here. Well, what did they do? They got the win here. This team is just different. This team is not as doom and gloom as you've seen in the past. A 6-4 final for the White Sox, and they were down in this one. They were down 1-0. They come back with 6 unanswered in the 6th. Did get answered in the 7th, 8th, and 9th with 1 each, but that's not enough. The White Sox go on to get the win in this one. Sir Anthony Dominguez did not fall apart at the very end of the game. He pitched in the 9th. He only gave up 1 hit and 1 earned run, but 2 strikeouts. He also gave up 2 walks, though. So, I mean, it's like you'd expect a closer to maybe be a little bit more locked down, but got the job done. I'm not going to complain. Eric Fetty only goes 2 2/3, 3 hits, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and 4 walks in this game. But he has dealt the win for this game because of the fact that he came in relief. So the White Sox had that lead already. So using Eric Fetty a little bit differently in this one. But then you move on to the away series. White Sox get a day off on Monday. They head out to New York to face the Yankees, the red-hot Yankees that are basically, if not, they are leading. Yes, they're leading the AL. They're still first in the AL East. The Tampa Bay Rays, giving them a little bit of run for their money, but they're 3 games back now after a productive week for the Yankees, who are now 46-28. Your White Sox, they're 39-35, searching for that 40th win to put themselves in that upper echelon of teams, not only in the AL, but all time in the MLB right now. And then that's going to be tough, though, because you've got a series with the Detroit Tigers. Now, the Tigers, they're 31-44. They're well below 500. They're at the very bottom of the standings, but I don't think people predicted them to be here because of the fact that they had such a run into the playoffs last year, and they've got a number of great pieces, which includes Tarek Skubal, who was on the mound last night for Detroit. He doesn't get the win because the White Sox hung in there, but he definitely pitched well. When you look at the box score on the Detroit side of things, Skubal, 5 2/3, gives up 7 hits and 3 earned runs with 1 walk, but he had 8 strikeouts, 3.02 ERA. So Tarek Skubal, for the most part, getting the job done for this Detroit team. I mean, hey, it's a potent White Sox offense that he's going up against. So, and we can say that now. It's crazy. But the White Sox, like I said, do fall 4-3. They did reclaim the lead in that game. They were losing. And, when you're losing against Tarek Skubal, it's really hard to get back into things. Grichuk homered in the first. So the White Sox were up 1-0, but then Vierling homered a 2-run shot in the first. That's Detroit's response. So down 2-1, Tristan Peters grounds into a fielder's choice, and the White Sox get a call that goes their way. The call was overturned. Antonacci scores. Luis Angel Acuna, though, is out at second base. And then Junior Perez, and you're sitting at home going, who? Yes, Junior Perez. He was a Oakland Athletics draft pick that has now worked his way through the White Sox farm system in through Charlotte, coming up to help them out in the outfield in this one. And he not only got his first hit earlier on in the game, but in the top of the 6th inning, I'm so used to the White Sox being home these days, top of the 6th inning, he hits his first home run off of Tarek Skubal. I mean, of all guys to get your first hit again, or first, not only first hit, but also first home run, 375 feet to left center, that ballpark out in Detroit. A little bit, I think it is 400 straight away, but 375 was enough to clear that left center wall. White Sox take a 3-2 lead with that, but a double scores 2 RBIs in the bottom of that same inning, and the White Sox can't respond from that. So a 4-3 final, not the finale of the series. This is the first game. They'll play again today at 12:10 and tomorrow at 12:40 up in Detroit. Newcomb on the mound, Sean Newcomb for the White Sox. It'll be Troy Melton for the Tigers. Tigers have not named a pitcher for Sunday, but it'll be Davis Martin on the mound, hoping to bounce back. He didn't have a great outing against the New York Yankees earlier this week. That was a tough one. Anthony Kay gets the actual loss in that one. It's Carlos Rodon with the win. White Sox fall 10-5 to the Yankees in that first game. They come back with a 5-1 victory, in that second game. Oh, you know what? Davis Martin, pitched that first game. I'm looking at this all wrong. I was thinking they lost the bookends of that series. The White Sox lost the first 2 games of that series. It was a 12-2 final in that first game on Tuesday. That was the Davis Martin game. Davis Martin now 9-3. He's going up against Garrett Cole, right? That's a tough matchup right there. But to give up 12 runs, not ideal, but this Yankees offense is just stellar as well. White Sox did have a lead, an Andrew Benintendi home run to right center, and then the Yankees just kind of proceeded to rack up the score. At one point, it was 11-1. The White Sox finally respond in the 6th inning, but it's well too late to get back into that one. So a 12-2 loss, a 10-5 loss. The White Sox avoid the sweep with a 5-1 victory on Thursday. First, I'll talk about the Andrew Benintendi grand slam. A pinch hit grand slam, might I add, to help the White Sox win that game 5-1 late in that game, too. Pinch hitting coming in the 8th inning. That was a 393-foot bomb out to right center. Antonacci, Gonzalez, and Peters all on base for that one. So the White Sox take that 5-1 victory. It was way too late of a home run for the Yankees to respond on home turf. But we also have to talk about Colson raking Montgomery, and I add the raking in there because this man is on an absolute tear. 1 home run in that 5-1 victory, but you go back to that 10-5 victory for the Yankees. Even though it was a 10-5 victory, Colson Montgomery, 2 home runs in that game. That was a 3-run shot in the third with Mydroth and Grichuk on base, and a solo home run in the eighth. So a multi-home run game for Colson Montgomery. He was already leading the entire MLB and, of course, AL shortstops in home runs, but he just continues to add for this team. I mean, when you look at the numbers, Munetaka Murakami still leading this team in home runs with 20. When you look at Colson Montgomery, what's that? Oh, yeah, he now has 20 as well. Munetaka Murakami, not too far back still, despite the injury, in home run lead for the not only the AL, but the MLB as a whole. When we look at those home run stats, we can get into home run leaders. It's not the White Sox right now, but take a look at these numbers of who is leading in home runs for the White Sox. Colson Montgomery and Munetaka Murakami, as I mentioned, tied with 20. Miguel Vargas right there, leading all of third basemen in the AL with 16 at that position. He's third on the team. Andrew Benintendi with 9, one of those being that pinch hit grand slam to help the White Sox secure that win. So it's by committee at the top here. It's not just one guy, and you see Munetaka Murakami go down. Of course, you would have loved to see him in a series against Shohei Ohtani when the Dodgers came to town, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but unfortunately that was not the case. Roki Sasaki also pitched in that game, but I mean, you're talking this White Sox team, 3 guys in the double digits of homers. Andrew Benintendi right on the cusp, and right behind him, a guy who doesn't normally play every day, but still has 7 home runs, Randall Grichuk. Adds one last night against the Tigers. Chase Mydroth has been quietly doing his thing as well. 391 slugging percentage. He's batting .273, which is great in today's MLB. His on-base percentage, .341, which brings his on-base and slugging to 732. He's got a 1.6 WAR right now. Top WARs on this team, though, are still going to be those guys at the top. 2.5 for Colson Montgomery. That's great. Munetaka Murakami sitting at a 2.0, but, I mean, he DHs quite a bit, and also it's a little bit harder to look at first baseman WAR stats, especially when a guy's injured. Miguel Vargas also sitting at 2.5. Only one in the negatives up top here that's still hitting the cover off the ball, Andrew Benintendi. Negative 0.1 for Andrew Benintendi. But, yeah, I mean, this is a team that does not go quietly, and the bats are humming. As I mentioned, the rest of the series with Detroit this weekend will be a 12:10 and a 12:40 start, respectively, today and tomorrow. And then the White Sox come back home Monday through Wednesday to play Cleveland. That'll be a tougher series. That'll be a team that's closer to them in the standings right now than Detroit. But like I said, don't sleep on Detroit. Many people thought that the Tigers were going to take the AL Central, or at least take a wild card spot again like they did last year. Cleveland, though, 40-36. So they have one more win, but one more loss. And the White Sox are playing .526 baseball, technically tied for that first place spot. So that could be a 6-game swing, basically, for the Chicago White Sox this coming week, with each one of those games meaning just a little bit more. But it is 3 games with the Cleveland Guardians. 6:40 on Monday and Tuesday. It'll be Kay and Burke due up. 1:10 on Wednesday with Eric Fetty on the mound for that matinee game. The White Sox continue on the weekend series next weekend. Friday night, 6:40 against Kansas City. Don't forget that it is also a Marshmello post-game concert. Not the food, the artist, if you've ever heard of the, I guess you would consider him EDM. Marshmello post-game concert on Friday. Saturday is a 250th USA birthday T-shirt giveaway, so get there for that 3:10 game. It'll also be Davis Martin supposedly due up on the mound. No starter listed for Friday night, as I should mention. Sunday, though, another 1:10 matinee game. It'll be Anthony Kay due up. So, and it looks like there's a special ticket package for a Kyle Teal bobblehead, but you got to buy through that special ticket package. So that is the White Sox future. Pretty certain. All division rivals, big week for this White Sox team. You can't drop too many games here definitely not against Cleveland, but also you don't want to drop games against teams that are lower in the standings and still in your division, like the Tigers, like the Kansas City Royals. As for the Cubs, well, we'll get into a division rival in just a moment here, but right now the Cubs are back, I guess. They're starting to win games again. They take 2 out of 3 from San Francisco last weekend. That's their first series win in their last 9 series, and one of those was against San Francisco. They dropped 2 of 3 against San Francisco at home. They go on the road and win 2 of 3. They did it decisively. They get 3 wins in a row, with that final game in Colorado being a win. Then they go out to San Francisco and get a 5-1 and a 6-1 victory before falling 5-1 on Sunday. So they couldn't quite complete the sweep. Then they go into, then Colorado comes to Chicago. That's another team that the Cubs lost to on that little bit of a skid there. They get back in the win column, not only in the games, but in the series. They stay there with a 2-1 series victory, a win in games 1 and games 3 against Colorado, dropping that middle contest. So there was a rubber match. And the Cubs last night, a 16-2 victory over the Toronto Blue Jays at home. They continue with Toronto, all 120 starts, patented Wrigley start time, both today and tomorrow. It'll be Colin Ray up on the mound for the Cubs today and Shota Imanaga tomorrow. Facing, on today's game, Patrick Corbin. Corbin this year hasn't been off to a great start. Usually he is. He's 2-3 with a 4.57 ERA, but still a 1.48 whip, which isn't all that bad. And another man that Chicagoans know and love, 4-3, Dylan Cease with a 2.71 ERA, 1.19 whip. So the third game in this series against Toronto will be the harder of the two pitching-wise for the Cubs to figure out. And then the Cubs go back on the road for a stretch of 7 games. They have a 4-game set. Busy week, no off day for the Northsiders this week. It's a 4-game set with the New York Mets. All 6:10 start times, Monday through Thursday. And then the weekend series will be at Wrigley North, American Family Field. It'll be against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are leading the NL Central. It's gonna be a tough weekend for this Cubs team. Shota Imanaga, Cabrera, and Javier Assad due up for the Cubs. It'll be a 6:40 start Friday, June 26th, 6:10 start Saturday, June 27th, and then a 1:10 start that next Sunday. But the Cubs thus far have not played their rivals to the north. So this is, they have. There was that one home series, but they didn't get a win, is what I mean. They got swept at home, and I'm sure they want to return the favor to this Bruins team, to this Brewers team up in Milwaukee. You got to. You have to, because when you look at this Cubs team, they were sitting on top of the NL Central maybe about a month ago at this point. We're a little far removed, and I know we've been ranting about them. They are at 40 wins. They're playing .526 baseball, same as the Cleveland Guardians. So they would be right behind the White Sox in the division lead in the AL. But they are in the NL, and that means they're 6.5 games back from the Milwaukee Brewers, 45-28. The Milwaukee Brewers playing .616 baseball. Are we destined to see another Milwaukee team have a great regular season and then absolutely collapse in the postseason? I think so. But what will happen first? Another postseason series win against the Chicago Cubs, or their collapse? Will the Cubs even make it to the postseason? Because they're not sitting in second in this division. St. Louis, a game ahead of them, 40-34, playing .541 baseball. They're 5.5 games back from Milwaukee. So Milwaukee with a comfortable lead right now, but don't sleep on any of these teams in this NL. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Pittsburgh playing exactly 500 baseball, 38-38. Cincinnati starting to really fall apart. Sorry, Dalton. But your Reds, 35-39, are the first team in this NL to really drop below 500. They're 10.5 games back. So where the Cubs are sitting, they're comfortable right now. But I'd say if you polled Cub fans, you polled Cubs players, they're nowhere near comfortable. Let's just say that. They're nowhere near ready to take their foot off the gas. They got to put their foot back on the gas in some situations as well. But P. Crow Armstrong this past week hits for the cycle and then gets picked off at first base. He actually is the first player since Rajai Davis. I know, Cub fans, I know that one's a little bit of a dagger to even say out loud. But first player to reverse hit for the cycle, meaning the home run came first, the triple came second, the double came third, and the single came last. But that single also got Pete Crow Armstrong picked off. So the mental mistakes and the base running and the fundamentals are still an issue for this Cubs team, but they do get wins, like I said, at home against Colorado, a 5-4 victory on Monday, and an 8-6 victory on Wednesday. So that's all you could really hope for if you're the Northsiders, is just slowly chip away at those wins, getting yourself back in that win column. There is a very important event coming up in Philadelphia, and it's not the U.S. possibly playing England in the World Cup. It's the 2026 MLB All-Star Game. And I'll tell you right now, you got to vote. You got to go out there and exercise your rights as an MLB fan to vote on your favorite players getting in. Because right now, there maybe wouldn't be too many representatives from the Chicago Cubs. Of course, you're looking at probably Pete Crow Armstrong. It's kind of a toss-up on quite literally all of the Cubs pitching. But the White Sox, switching gears back to the South Side real quick before we jump into some minor league ball, the White Sox are definitely a team that should have multiple representatives. Even if Munetaka Murakami is not healthy enough to go to the All-Star game, give him the nod. Miguel Vargas, like I said, Colson Montgomery, those guys leading the league in their positions when it comes to home runs. So you got to figure, you got to think that some of those guys are going to get voted in. Davis Martin on an absolute tear right now, was being talked about in that Cy Young competition. And, of course, yeah, a tough start this last time. But could he get back to his ways against the Tigers and earn himself an All-Star Game nomination? Well, when we come back here, we're going to be talking to an All-Star in his own right. We've got Todd Lott of the Kane County Cougars joining us right at 11 o'clock. Of course, we've got a couple messages from sponsors first. But we'll talk to the All-Star back-to-back champion, big hitter Todd Lott, designated hitter, as I said, about the Kane County Cougars. Like I said, back-to-back champions. They also go into the Baseball Champions League and get the job done there, undefeated along that route, too. So have we seen a run like that? White Sox went 11-1, but I don't think we've seen an undefeated run in a tournament that dominant. So we'll have some Cougars news when we get back. I'm Mike Napolitano. You're listening to AM 1410's On the Rise.
After every herbicide pass, your crop stops growing and starts recovering. That's 7 to 14 lost growing days, and on 500 acres, up to $47,000 in lost yield. Relax RX compresses that recovery window so your crops get back to building yield. Every price, Relax RX lowers it. Visit bwfusion.com/stressless or call 515-554-3814.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410. Elgin time, 11 o'clock.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Progressive. Cook County officials are projecting a $550 million budget deficit for 2027, warning that the shortfall will require careful planning and difficult decisions. The gap is driven in part by an expected loss of federal funding, including Medicare-related cuts, as well as a court ruling that found the county improperly used transportation tax dollars for non-transportation purposes. County leaders say rising personnel and healthcare costs are also contributing to the deficit, with both the general and health funds facing major shortfalls. Officials say a public hearing on the preliminary budget forecast will be held July 9th. A former Naperville man, 21-year-old Merlin Liu, has been charged with multiple felonies, including hate crime and arson, in connection with the June 9th cross burning in Chicago's Grant Park. Prosecutors say Liu admitted to setting the cross on fire, which also led to charges of criminal damage, reckless conduct, and disorderly conduct. Authorities say the incident is being treated as a hate crime, and Liu is scheduled for a detention hearing following his arrest earlier this week. New applications for unemployment benefits fell by 4,000 last week to 226,000. Assigned layoffs remain historically low. The Labor Department says the job market continues to show resilience with steady hiring and an unemployment rate of 4.3%. The national average price for regular gasoline has dipped below $4 a gallon for the first time since March, according to AAA. The drop follows falling oil prices after a new U.S.-Iran agreement eased concerns about global oil supplies. Kane County Sheriff's Office says it will begin a 3-week traffic enforcement campaign ahead of the 4th of July holiday running through July 6th. Deputies will focus on removing impaired and unbuckled drivers from the roads as part of a statewide effort involving more than 200 Illinois law enforcement agencies. Officials are urging drivers to plan ahead, use designated sober transportation options, and ensure everyone in the vehicle is properly buckled up. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
At Liberty Mutual, we love helping people with things like customizing car insurance, just like how we customize a song for you. Catered country tune. Liberty Mutual, saving you bucks while protecting your truck. 'Cause Birdie told me to only pay for what I need. Thank you, Limu. I'll always trust in Limu with Liberty, 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 Liberty.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. 5-1 win for the White Sox in the Bronx over the Yankees. Sean Burke got the win. He's 4-4. 7 1/3, 8 strikeouts, 1 run on 5 hits and a walk. 2 homers in the win for the White Sox. Colson Montgomery hit a solo shot in the second. Then Andrew Benintendi hit a grand slam in the 8th. The Sox head to Detroit where they start a series with the Tigers tonight. 2-5 Eric Fetty faces 3-3 Tarek Skubal. The Cubs were off Thursday and start a series at home this afternoon against the Blue Jays. 3-2 Ben Brown, the scheduled starter. The NBA draft starts on Tuesday. The Bulls have the 4th and 15th picks in the first round. The Chicago Wolves stayed alive in the American Hockey League Calder Cup Finals. They beat Toronto 4-3 in overtime last night in Game 4. Toronto still up 3-1 in the series. Game 5 is tonight in Toronto. If the Wolves stay alive, Game 6 will be Sunday in Rosemont. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
The Colonel's.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by KFC. Starting this afternoon, sunny with a high near 78. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low around 58. Looking ahead to Sunday, rain showers are likely, with mostly cloudy conditions and temperatures around 64 in the afternoon. Sunday night will bring more rain showers with a low near 56. Currently, it's 67 and clear. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, Grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots. He scores.
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
When our nation calls, patriots answer. The U.S. Volunteers Joint Service Command stands ready, honoring our fallen heroes through military funeral honors and serving communities during natural disasters and emergencies. If you're 18 or older, you can serve close to home with free training and just one Saturday a month. Prior service with honorable discharges are welcome. View our website today at usvjsc.org. We are patriots. We are always ready. We are U.S. Volunteers, and we want you to join us.
Clutter happens, but junk doesn't have to weigh you down. At the Junk Luggers, we're your full-service junk removal and hauling pros, tackling everything from single-item pickups to major cleanouts. We handle the heavy lifting, and with our commitment to the green way, we rehome and recycle to keep your unwanted items out of landfills. So, whether you're clearing out the garage, downsizing, or saying goodbye to old furniture, we make the process eco-friendly and easy. Call 1-800-LUG-JUNK or visit junkluggers.com today. Let's save your space and
It's time to wake up.
Yes!
And lock in to On the Rise.
Yes!
With host Mike Napolitano.
Cub fans have every right to be disappointed if this Cubs team continues on the trajectory that they're on and they miss the playoffs or, at best, get a wild card spot. You are cooked at that point.
Mamma mia!
Dalton Cooper.
Like, I would look out for my friends and be like, hey, you know, if you're ranking a little bit, I'm gonna let you know. I feel like that's a good friend. I'd be like, hey, did you smell yourself, or did you maybe did you fart? But something doesn't smell right.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And Nick Johnston.
For the most part, to be fair, I don't want to completely, justify a sweep, but the Royals are red hot right now. Vinny Pasquantino might be Ted Williams reincarnated. I'm just kind of throwing that out there.
On WRMN 1410 AM, the voice of the Valley.
Welcome back to AM 1410 WRMN's On the Rise. Mike Napolitano here in studio. As always, you guys can join in the conversation. Jump on in the YouTube chat if you're on there. If not, we have a text line, not 505-926-1410. But for the next half an hour, we have a very special guest joining us. When we talk about big hitters, this guy is big on big. He's won 2 championships with the Kane County Cougars and gone to the Baseball Champions League and represented both the USA and Canada, basically, as the American Association team representing the Kane County Cougars. 2 years in a row, they just went undefeated this past year down in Mexico. So please welcome designated hitter, first baseman, outfielder, Todd Lott.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I know it's been a little bit of a tough week. You go on the road, a couple of inclement weather days, a doubleheader on Thursday, and you find yourself in the loss column a couple of times. It is a beautiful field up there in Franklin, in Franklin, Wisconsin, where the Milkmen play, but just couldn't get the job done. But this Cougars team still sitting at 533, 16-14 on the season. You guys are having early success once again. I talked to a couple of your teammates, whether that was Claudio or Weston, and they were telling me that it's more of a mentality of just like, this core has been there and just do it again. Is that kind of how you're feeling and what this season has felt like at the start?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like we've been through it already and we're used to it, and we still haven't hit our stride yet. And before this last week, we were pushing for first on our side and on like consistent second. So I think once we hit our stride, we'll be fine. We'll be good.
Yeah, sitting in third behind those Milkmen, and then Lake Country is just on a tear. 677 baseball right now, although they did lose 3 in a row, so maybe some opportunities to catch up. The Milkmen, who just jumped ahead of you, are the exact opposite. They've won 9 in a row, so I don't know if that's super sustainable. Hopefully they find the loss column pretty soon. But when it comes to you individually, we take a look at of course, your performance last year. Multiple grand slams in the postseason, some in the same series, big hitter all year long. You were an all-star representative for this Cougars team. this year off to another good start. I mean, what has it been individually in your game that you've just kind of been able to carry on? Has it been some of the no break, long postseason rolls right into BCL, rolls right into 2026 season, or are you just kind of still feeling it?
A little give and take. I feel like last year I was kind of just like flowing with everything. Like everything, the momentum was good. I really didn't have to think about it a lot. And then going in winter ball and then BCL, so like everything just kind of like flowed together. And then for like the first month, I probably like hit a little skid, but I think my teammates really just helped me kind of like keep my head level and like just give me the tips that I need, I think, just to get back right.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, like we said, you guys went on and played in the BCL, so you're still kind of fresh and went undefeated there. The big bats came out in that high altitude in Mexico. Tell me about that experience. Was like not only on the field winning, no losing, but then also off the field, and just to be able to be a part of such a cool championship and a cool tournament like that.
It was fun, especially because we lost last year and we probably should have for sure won last year. But just coming out there playing good, everybody coming out there just from just their work that they put in the off season. We didn't have any practices going there, so it was just going there, just coming to play and having fun. Outside of baseball, it was fun just being in Mexico. The city was nice. Mexico City was nice. It was crazy. They can't drive at all up there, so that was probably the wildest thing about it. But other than that, it was fun. It was a good experience.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit with Commissioner Josh Schaub going into that tournament, and he was talking about, some of the things that he was looking forward to, not only, being in Mexico City and being in a really good area and being able to enjoy things, but also, of course, the baseball. When it comes to the baseball side of things, it's not the entire Cougars team. Not everybody can make it for, the offseason. So you're playing with some of the guys that you're rivals with in the American Association throughout the season, including, you played a tough championship series against the Sioux Falls Canaries and Jabari Henry and some of those guys. So what's it like to be able to then become teammates with them? And of course, you've got the bragging rights going into it, but now you're all champions together in the Baseball Champions League.
The bragging rights was definitely fun. We let them hear it a couple times. But other than that, once we started playing, it was just another day. It was just like they were part of the team, and we all had one goal. So we knew we could like separate what happened during the season for that week or week and a half we were down there.
That is great. That's good. Good to know we have bragging rights here in Kane County. And we talked to Claudio right after the championship last year. Of course, he hits the massive grand slam in the top of the 10th to get you guys the win in Game 5. And being out in Sioux Falls, they had it on TVs everywhere. It sounded like you guys went out and celebrated afterwards, and we're watching the replay on the TV. Unfortunately, with all of the White Sox and Cubs coverage that still goes on here in Chicago, something like that, it really is unfortunate because it doesn't make the national, or it doesn't make the Chicagoland news. Maybe just a blip here or there. But one thing that does make the news, totally backwards, is the bus situation up in Winnipeg. Like, they don't cover the championship like we do here at WRMN, which is why you got to tune in to WRMN here in Elgin. The bus situation. Oh my goodness. We talked to Claudio earlier this week, but what is really going on there? What the heck happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I seen Claudio talk about it. I seen y'all interview, and it was legit the same thing. Austin sent a text like, I don't know if it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just the picture of the bus on fire. And I was like, oh, it got to be AI. Like, there's no way it's real. Got downstairs, and everybody was just had all that stuff in the lobby. And Austin was like, no, I was being dead serious. Like, the bus was on fire. So that was crazy. I've never experienced anything like that. I think Sioux City a few years back when they were driving, the bus caught on fire. And that was like legit the first time I ever thought about any like transportation or anything with athletes going wrong. But this situation was just literally one of a kind. It's crazy.
You hear a lot of stories like back in the day, maybe with like, independent baseball or minor leagues of like bus stories and stuff like that. You don't expect them to still be happening in 2026, right? Like, that's nuts.
10-year-old little girl, like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. And then, like I said, I didn't see the original headline. I've given up on the main news when it comes to following Cougars and Boomers like we do here at WRMN. I just go straight to the source, whether that is the American Association or the Frontier League, or just going to the games and being able to see you guys play up close each and every week. But I mean, for something like that somebody was like, oh yeah, you didn't see this? I'm like, why is that getting covered rather than, hey, they just won back-to-back championships and the baseball championship league? So yeah, throw that in there, major news channels. That's a little crazy, but yeah, I mean, that's wild. It's good to know that nobody was hurt, of course, and maybe just lost a little bit of equipment that was still on the bus. But yeah, what a start to your season here. I know I was joking with Claudio that you guys beat Winnipeg in the 2024 championship. So at first you're thinking maybe this is just delayed retaliation, but no, it was just a
I would have put a lot of money on that.
Yeah. No kidding. Oh, my goodness. Well, as I mentioned, you guys are sitting third in the East Division behind Milwaukee and Lake Country. Still a plus 30 run differential. As far as this 2026 season goes, you've got a lot of that returning core, but a couple notable departures as well, including in one of your coaches, who was one of your teammates, Brett Phillips, now working once again with the Tampa Bay Rays. World Series hero, Brett Phillips, by the way. What was it like to kind of learn under some of those guys? And, of course, George Samus, who's still there as well.
Philly helped me out a lot because he been there, of course. Like, he done been through everything that we have. So him transitioning as a pitcher to a hitting coach, it's kind of like seamless for us. He helped me and still helping me. Like, he always sends me, like, encouraging text messages, tips that he's seeing because he's still watching the games this year. So he's just been a big help with everything that he's been doing. And George at Holmberg has been the same thing because same thing. They've been to the big leagues. They've been to, like, where our initial goals were, and they're just trying to help us out any way that they can.
When we talk about the big leagues, you were drafted by two different teams, Cincinnati and St. Louis. You know, what's that experience like for those that really haven't gotten the chance to get drafted, or even like hear your name called, hear you get selected, especially by a pro club, two very storied franchises in both Cincinnati and St. Louis?
No, it was crazy, especially my first time in high school because I wasn't really expecting to get drafted because I had a labrum surgery, I think literally like a couple weeks before the draft started. So I was kind of content going to school. I really turned my head off about the draft, so I ended up still getting picked by them. And that was crazy. I think I knew I was going to school, but like it was just a realization that like all the hard work that me and my parents and that everybody in my life put in for those the years, it paid off. So it was fun. And then 3 years later, the same thing happened with the Cardinals, and then I was able to go play and sign and play with them. So it was a great experience.
Now, you're originally from Florida, Jacksonville, but, you know, it's a little bit colder up here. You've played not only in Kane County, but Peoria as well with the Chiefs. A little bit of an adjustment weather-wise with the baseball up here, or are you kind of maybe used to it due to some travel throughout your time?
I would say I'm used to it a little bit, but I don't like it. So I can bear it right now. Even in Louisiana, when I went to school, I think one of my first college games were it's like 23, 24 miles or 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. Yeah, so it was crazy, and you wouldn't expect that at all in Louisiana.
And it's a different type of cold down there. I don't know if you feel the same way than you get up here.
Bad.
Yeah.
Windy.
My grandparents were in Tampa for a long time, and when it would hit 50 degrees, they'd go, yeah, you want a winter jacket? And here is the Chicago, and I'm going, no, 50 degrees, like we're in shorts up here. But it drops down, and you get that different bay effect, if you will, down there. So, yeah, but honestly, it hasn't stunted your performance as well. And also, you do get the break of going down to places like Mexico during the off season in order to play. You also played in the Mexican professional leagues. So we see a lot of independent ball guys do this to stay fresh, to still get their work in the off season. Is that a lot? Do you ever kind of feel like you need a little bit more of a break, or are you just loving being able to still play right now and take the things that you learn from these other leagues back into your main summer league?
I think early on in my career, I wanted the break and I wanted just to chill, kind of like get away from baseball and just do other things. But over the last couple of years, like I really enjoy just like kind of stringing out what I have left playing wise. And if I can play in like different countries, get different experiences, and just put my name out there more. And if I could add on years to how long I would play and stuff like that. So I think it's just a better opportunity just to stay ready and just prolong careers.
You like to have your fun along the way in minor leagues and in independent ball. And one of the things we saw was the Kane County Cougars doing their first ever rebrand into the Swedish meatballs. Did they kind of explain where that one came from, like why they chose Swedish meatballs?
No, because I feel like either last year or the year before, it was like Atomic Pork Chops or something.
Oh, that's right. They have had other ones, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm just ready for everything at this point. Whatever jerseys in my locker, I put it on.
That and the I think it was the SpongeBob jerseys they had a couple years in a row now too.
Yeah, SpongeBob. I don't remember if we had the Taylor Swift. I think we did have Taylor Swift jerseys. We had a lot.
Yeah. The Eras night. All the Swifties are going to come after me. I'm usually not a Swiftie guy myself. I don't know about you, but sure, I'll throw it on if. So there's a bunch of fun things at the ballpark this year for Cougars fans. They've got halfway to Christmas with a couple of giveaways and multiple different theme nights. Like we were mentioned, there will be another Taylor Swift tribute band, I believe, on another Eras night. Plenty of things always bark in the park, and lots of promotions even daily. Are there any that kind of carry over onto the field that you guys get a chance to enjoy? Of course, being the back-to-back champions, there's banner raising ceremonies, and you guys get your rings going. I know the fans won't necessarily get replica rings this year, but they did last year. So is there something that you always look forward to going into a season from the fun aspect?
I was looking forward to the rings this year because my dad got one last year, and I wanted to give him another one for Father's Day this year. So I'm kind of bummed about that. But other than that, really everything. It's just fun to see the stuff that they pull out every day. It's probably the most entertaining group of people I've been around as far as what they dish out for the fans. So it's been just good to watch, especially with the PlayStations. I know they give out PlayStations every inning one of these games, so that'll be fun. Yeah.
Breaking news, though, Todd Lott is going to have to scramble to find his dad a Father's Day gift for tomorrow because it's not going to be a replica ring. Okay, all right, good. Maybe it's a PlayStation. We don't know. I'm not going to give it away just in case Papa Lott is watching. Oh, man. Well, in addition to the fun that the fans get to have in the stands coming through the gates and stuff like that, they get a chance to see a very fun team. You got a lot of interesting personalities on this team. I know Josh Allen, not the one that's on your fantasy team, has talked a lot about having to cancel a couple of fishing and hunting trips just to make it on these postseason runs. And I spoke to him the other day off camera, and I said, yeah, you're back for another season. And he said, yep. And I said, Claudio? And he goes, yeah. So because Claudio came on and told us that there were a lot of guys that he had to convince to come back for yet another season. So tell me a little bit about the dynamic between some of those guys that have made up this core. And I don't know, you have any funny stories about any of those guys that we can tease them for?
I think the core is great. I feel like the main, it's 7 to 8 of us, maybe half of us stayed in the same house for a couple years and then a couple moved out, but we're still kind of here. So we're all pretty tight. Josh was the first person I met when I came to Kane County because he was my roommate. So that's how we were always kind of close and kind of bonded together. Other than that, nah, not really. We're just a super close group. It's been fun with them. I think we're going to have a lot more fun. I think the funniest thing I can think about, I don't know. I got a lot of videos. I got a lot of stuff that I just saved on my phone. I see something, I'm like, yeah, I got to save this. I got to get this.
A lot of incriminating.
Yeah, it's a lot of incriminating stuff. So I'm like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it in my phone. But even with trying to get Josh to come back, I think as soon as we won last year, I told Josh, it's yeah, you got to come back now. So it's not even a choice. We make a choice for you.
There's never been a team to three-peat in the American Association. Of course, on the Frontier League side of things for baseball, it was I think there may have been a couple teams early on that have three-peated, but we're in the middle of a four-peat for the Quebec Capitals. But in the American Association, it struck me that nobody's ever gone back-to-back-to-back. So if the Cougars were able to do it, what would that really mean for you and this core that's been together through pretty much all of it?
I mean, it's just where we're supposed to be at right now. Like we're all here for a reason, and hopefully that's like one of the reasons that we can get a three-peat and we can kind of fulfill stuff that we didn't fulfill in other parts of our career, and then we can just do it here. Just have fun, do it here.
Well, like I said, you're on a tear already. All-Star game is coming up. Do we know a little bit about who could be nominated? I don't know if voting is open yet for the AA. I know it's not for Frontier League quite yet.
No, I'm not sure, but it would be a crime if McGarry, Botch, Josh, missing some pitchers, Gozo, Art. Like, we got a lot of people that should be in the All-Star game this year. And I know those five for sure, like, it should be a no-brainer. They should be in the All-Star game.
You mentioned a lot of really good names there, and Matt Botcher is one of those that also, like Nick D'Alessandro, Chicagoans should know pretty well if you venture through the independent leagues, because they both played for the Chicago Dogs. Now they're with you with the Chicago Cougars. We talked to Nick last year about taking down his rivals, basically, in the Chicago Dogs. And that's always a fun series to watch. Do you feel the same excitement that the fans do when it comes to not only the playoff matchups between the two local teams, but also the regular season matchups between the two AA Chicagoland franchises?
Yeah, I kind of do. It was kind of like some, a couple years ago, like some underlying stuff between the two. But even since then, like, I think I felt the energy, the tension. It's just good baseball every time we play them. And then one of my best friends over there now, so it's even better now.
Who is that? Pitching or playing?
JC Flowers. He was just in Gary, and then now he's in Chicago now.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do know the name. Our fellow friend of the show and fellow broadcaster of mine, Aaron Shellen, is their play-by-play guy. So it's always fun to get a chance to visit both booths when we come to the park. But always have the bragging rights there too, basically. So that's always fun. You mentioned the Gary South Shore Railcats. It's another team with a storied franchise, Chicagoland area. I guess you could add them in as the third team. So it's very rich in the Chicagoland area. Same ownership for a long time as the Schaumburg Boomers. The Salvies had both teams. Frontier League that I keep referencing, they have three teams immediately in the Chicagoland area as well, with the Boomers, the Thunderbolts, and the Slammers. We talked to Josh Schaub, and he wouldn't give too much away, but it almost looks like both leagues are kind of coinciding their schedules to have all-star games during the same time, playoffs during the same time. The Frontier League, we're going to see a rebrand of their name. They're going to become the National Association next year. So what's a little weird is you're going to have the NA and the AA. So it almost seems like a merger is destined to happen at some point. Could you see possibly the talent in both leagues getting along and then having basically 6 teams immediately in the Chicagoland area?
Yeah, I for sure. I think that's a great idea. I think a couple of years ago, we can kind of like put stuff up like that, put ideas up like that. But I think it would be a great idea. And then you can have better talent in the league, you can have more talent in the league. There's more games for the fans to go to, more games for them to watch. I think it's a great idea. A
little bit more travel for you guys, but you already have quite the travel when it goes down to Cleburne. But same ownership now as the Boomers were bought by Rev, but this is year 2 under Rev for the Cougars. They also own Cleburne, Long Island Ducks, and a little bit of the Texas Rangers. Real quickly, what's that been like to have them at the helm and kind of a world-class franchise or world-class organization owning the franchise?
They've been doing a great job since they've been there. They made everybody in the clubhouse feel comfortable, and they've just been doing everything they could just make everything better for us.
Awesome. Well, Todd, thank you so much for jumping on. We look forward to covering the Cougars and yourself throughout the rest of this season. We'll see a couple more big pops from you as far as home runs go throughout the year here. Looking forward to another half of the season and, of course, a postseason run. Thank you for jumping on. Real quickly, where can they find you if the fans want to connect with you?
You can just look up Todd Lott on Instagram. It's under Young Nueve, but if you just look up my name, it'll pop up. And then Todd Lott on Twitter also. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you again for jumping on. Todd Lott, the DH of the Kane County Cougars, two-time American Association champion and Baseball Champions League champion. Thanks again for hopping on with us, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Thank you. You're listening to AM 1410's On the Rise. We'll be right back with more baseball and some hockey.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
The Royals clobbered the Cardinals 14-6 Thursday. Bobby Witt Jr. hit the first of 3 Kansas City home runs before leaving the game with a right knee injury. The team went on to right-hander Seth Lugo returns to the Royals rotation today. He spent the last week on the concussion list after being hit in the head by a line drive a week ago. Lugo 2-4 on the season. It'll be 3-5 righty Michael McGreevy starting for the Cardinals in the second game of the series. 5-1 win for the White Sox in the Bronx over the Yankees. Sean Burke got the win. He's 4-4. 7 1/3, 8 strikeouts, 1 run on 5 hits and a walk. 2 homers in the win for the White Sox. Colson Montgomery hit a solo shot in the second. Then Andrew Benintendi hit a grand slam in the 8th. The Sox head to Detroit where they start a series with the Tigers tonight. 2-5 Eric Fetty faces 3-3 Tarek Skubal. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters or condo with Progressive.
I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Hi, it's Zoe, one of Macy's gift guides, here to help you find the perfect Father's Day gift for the guy you're shopping for. Is he a trendsetter? I'd go color-blocked polo and shorts. Classic combo, easy to wear. Is he always on the move? Stylish commuters love a designer watch. Plus, I have cologne gift sets wrapped and ready to give. Come shop our Father's Day sale and take 20 to 60% off today at Macy's. Savings off select prices. Exclusions apply.
Joe Fallon did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he commissioned a portrait of himself. Does Joe already know what he looks like? Yes. Do guests know what he looks like? Also yes. But not as art. It's Joe's savings, and if he wants to spend it on a velvet painting of himself with a white tiger at his feet, we say, roar, Joe, roar. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
When disaster strikes, flood or fire, every second counts. At Emergency Construction Group, they specialize in immediate response and same-day service for any residential, commercial, or industrial emergency across the Chicagoland area. With over 30 years of experience, they've got the expertise, manpower, and equipment to handle any size loss fast. They follow strict IICRC guidelines to restore your property the right way, the first time. Their team values transparency, constant communication, and strong ethical standards because your peace of mind matters. Licensed, bonded, and insured, they're here for you 24/7, 365 days a year. Call 855-4ECG now. That's 855-432-4669. Or visit their website at emergencyconstructiongroup.com. And let Emergency Construction Group put your life back together one step at a time. That's Emergency Construction Group. Your satisfaction is their passion.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by KFC. Starting this afternoon, sunny with a high near 78. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low around 58. Looking ahead to Sunday, rain showers are likely, with mostly cloudy conditions and temperatures around 64 in the afternoon. Sunday night will bring more rain showers with a low near 56. Currently, it's 67 and clear. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Welcome back to AM 1410 WRMN's On the Rise. Mike Napolitano here, and if you are listening, if you've been listening, we just spoke with Kane County Cougars DH and first baseman Todd Lott. He's had to step into that first base role a little bit more this year with a little bit of change of the roster, but I mean, he hasn't missed a beat, basically, nonetheless. And this Cougars team still basically on top of those standings. Like we said, third place, but it's early, and they were doing well before this 5-game skid. If you're listening to our updates, they're a little bit outdated. And what I mean by that is the White Sox, you're hearing won last night 5-1. That was Thursday. They did fall last night to Detroit 4-3. We kind of covered that already. One of those other things, though, in that message that you're hearing as our sports update is that the Wolves won last night. That was also Thursday. That was a 4-3 victory in overtime to keep themselves alive against the Toronto Marlies. Boy, oh boy, this was a tough one. This was a Wolves team, and I feel comfortable saying this on air because, you know, I had to kind of, I don't know if I'd say eat my words is the right term here, but this was a team that I did not see going very far in playoffs. Last year, they were upset early on by the Rockford Ice Hogs. Ice Hogs go on to face the top team in the division that year, which was the Milwaukee Admirals. They get reverse swept in a 5-game series. And you're looking at this Wolves team going, there's a lot of talent here. But the big club out in Carolina, they're in a championship window, right? So how good can their AHL franchise be? And we're getting into how many NHL teams and AHL teams have been champions at the same time, basically. Unfortunately, this one not the case as the Wolves lose last night. That was a 4-3 final. Tough for a team that was leading 2-0, worst lead in all of hockey, but the Wolves give up 4 straight goals. They had to claw themselves back into that one just a little bit with a 5-on-3 at the end of the second period, and it wasn't enough. They couldn't find that final tally in the third in order to keep things alive like they did Thursday night. Thursday night's game only went to overtime because the Wolves were losing 3-1. And then all of a sudden, they scored 28 seconds into that game, I should add. That was the gentleman that we interviewed. You could go ahead and check that interview on the Instagram and Facebook. Yusel Valimaki did parts of 3 seasons with the Calgary Flames, spent 2 seasons with the Arizona Coyotes before they moved and became the Utah Hockey Club. That was before they solidified their name, the Mammoth. Yusel Valimaki coming to this Wolves team with that NHL experience and pedigree. He scored some big goals here for this Wolves team, and he got them started Thursday night. And by big goals, he scored one to tie things up and bring things to overtime in Game 2 at home. But the Wolves had gone on the road down 2-0. They lose a 1-0 tightly contested Game 3 in Toronto, and now you're looking at having to reverse sweep a team, win 4 straight in order to take home the championship. And they got the job done on night 1, basically, in Game 4. They didn't get swept. They prolonged the series, a 4-3 victory. The Wolves scored 2 goals within a minute and 5 seconds, I believe it was, exactly on the nose, but just over a minute. And they tie things up, go to overtime, and win 4-3. Last night, though, quite the opposite. They are up 2-0, like I said, give up 4 straight goals and can't find enough offense to get back into that one. So the Toronto Marlies are your 2026 Calder Cup champions. It would have been history, though, if the Wolves would have won, not only here in the Chicagoland area, but because of the fact that there are only 3 teams, well, I guess 6 teams, but 3 organizations in 3 separate years to have had their NHL franchise and their AHL franchise win the cup in the same year. That would be 1995, the New Jersey Devils and the Albany River Rats of the AHL. In 1976 and 1977, back-to-back champs in the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens and their AHL affiliates, the Nova Scotia Voyagers. So that's only happened 3 times. If you think about it and how hockey typically goes, how any sport almost typically goes, your big club has success. That means you've brought up all your draft picks. You've brought up your farm system that you've been building towards that success, and you are using it at the pro level, right? And at the semi-pro level, at the AHL or like I said, any sport, any league, the farm system's maybe a little bit bare. The cupboards are a little bit bare, right? I mean, maybe you're already retooling down there to have something in the pipeline, but you're not expecting a championship run or at least a deep playoff run at that level. Look at the White Sox. These past couple of seasons, you've seen the Birmingham Barons at the AA level have success and go back-to-back in championships at that AA level. But you don't see the White Sox having success. Now you're seeing the White Sox have some success. And sure, the Charlotte Knights at the AAA level are still good. That's because there's still a lot of young rookies going up and down. We saw Riku Nishida come up and play for the White Sox. He's already back down with Charlotte and the Knights. But the Birmingham Barons, I'd have to double check the stats. I haven't dove that deeply into the White Sox farm system, but I don't think they're on another trajectory towards a championship this year, just because a lot of that talent gets moved up. However, I just praised Chris Getz last week with that Derek Hill trade that we covered. He gets a couple prospects in. So not only are you not looking to win now like the White Sox did when they made a couple trades back in 2020, 2021 that brought over a couple of setup man or closer pitchers that really just couldn't get the job done, Craig Kimbrell. And then you lose a second baseman in Nicky Two Strikes. But like you're looking at this White Sox team having success right now up at the major league club, but they're still young. So Chris Getz is also looking at that farm system, still going, all right, what do we need to do to fill holes here as well? I just spoke with a couple of Boomers players last night. We were at the Boomers game. It was Calarco Brothers bobblehead giveaway night, and that was the highlight of the night. I'm not going to go into the final stat lines because it did not favor Schaumburg, but if you look at this thing's hefty. It's a picture frame, right? You've got Alex Calarco on one side. You've got Anthony Calarco on the other side. Boomers logo on the top. Would you look at that? Step Brothers style bobblehead. Isn't this one of the coolest things you've ever seen? They've got the plaid jersey or the plaid sweaters on, I should say, like they wore in Step Brothers, but they're Boomers colored. And of course, they have their hats on. I haven't looked at this as far as accuracy. They got it pretty right. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk to the Calarco brothers pretty soon to see what they think as far as we did talk to them on Wednesday night and see and got their thoughts on the bobblehead coming out. But now that they've gotten a chance to see it as of Friday night, we'll see what they think of these things. I mean, they're, like I said, they're pretty cool. They're pretty hefty. It's just cool, I guess, to have a bobblehead of yourself if you're Anthony or Alex. But we didn't get a chance to talk to them last night after the game just because of the way the result went. And it wasn't a great night for the Boomers, but they had a lot of family out there. Always nice to get a chance to talk to the Calarco family. They're a great group of people. Where was I going with that, though? I was talking about minor leagues. And, a couple of White Sox names that people would know have played with a couple of Boomers names that you should know. Banks Tolley, who's looking to come off of the IR today. He gets reevaluated and hopefully back in the lineup. They could definitely use his bat in the lineup, but after last night, I think they could use his help in the outfield as well. Banks played for Mississippi in college, and he played with Anthony Calarco. Banks spent 2 years there in which he overlapped with Tim Elko. Many White Sox fans will remember the name being brought up and playing first for the White Sox last year. We haven't seen him yet at the big league club this year, but still in the farm system. And then Jacob Gonzalez, who many fans will know. He just hit his first ever MLB home run in that series against Philadelphia, and he's been doing great ever since then. Now, he's not exactly doing what Braden Montgomery did and hitting a walk-off in his debut, but not everybody can do something like that. Jacob Gonzalez, though, still producing for this White Sox team. He's been pretty consistent, and when you look at the stats for a rookie, they've been exciting for Jacob Gonzalez. As far as a guy who hasn't been up here the entire season. Of course, these numbers are going to be a little bit skewed, but when you look at his average, Jacob Gonzalez already putting up some decent numbers. Like I said, he's got 15 games played with this White Sox club. He's got 42 at-bats. Pardon me, because I'm looking at... Okay, there we go. 4 runs, 8 hits. He's batting 190, which doesn't sound great, but as a rookie, like, it's kind of what you need. OPS, 568, and he's a 0.4. No, sorry, 0.1. I had a little smudge on the old laptop right there. 0.1 WAR. So, I mean, this is a guy that, like, you call upon him to make his major league debut, step up and be like an everyday guy in the lineup while Munetaka Murakami is out. He's playing first base. And he's done as well as you could ask for, especially against tough teams. This is a tough, we already kind of went over White Sox, but this is a tough little rut in the schedule for this White Sox team with playing some of the best teams in the AL. Now, they'll get a little bit of a break, like I said, with the Tigers, but as I also mentioned, don't sleep on this Tigers team. They will hurt you. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. We'll hopefully get that connection sorted out when we go to White Sox and get a chance to talk to either Jacob Gonzalez or maybe if Tim Elko comes up, right? But we will be talking with Banks once he's off IR. And, of course, we'll talk with Anthony and Alex Calarco again. We'll get a little bit more of their personalities. We had something special planned last night, but we just couldn't after things didn't quite go the Boomers' way. The Boomers, if you remember, we covered early on in the season, they started hot at home. They were pretty much undefeated. I think at one point they were like 10-2 at home in their first 4 series. And then going on the road has been tough for this Boomers team. They dropped below 500 this past week for the first time in, gosh, quite a while. I don't believe this Boomers team was under 500 at all last season, and they had that championship run. There's a lot of guys returning, similar to the Cougars. Of course, the Boomers came just shy of a championship in that decisive Game 5, unlike the Cougars. But, I mean, you're talking about a group of guys that now have a chip on their shoulder. Rather than defending like the Kane County Cougars, they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. So we'll see what the Boomers can do going down the stretch with that. We've got all-star games coming up there as well. Like I said, the 2-season schedules are kind of coincided now. So I like what Todd Lott was saying about, hey, can we possibly, that would be cool, expand the talent, right, between, the 2 leagues. And if you think about that, for the Chicagoland area, that would mean you have the Kane County Cougars, the Schaumburg Boomers, under same ownership, might I add. You've got the Chicago Dogs, the Windy City Thunderbolts, the Joliet Slammers, and the Gary South Shore Railcats. And if we're going over borders like we're doing in Indiana, like the Bears, you can go over the border real quick like I did this past week and go see the Milkmen as well, the Milwaukee Milkmen in the AA League, the American Association, I should say. So, I mean, you're talking about 7 teams immediately within the Chicagoland area if you want to extend it up into Milwaukee as well. So, I mean, what a giant league that would be, even if it's just for all-star games, even if it's just the 2 teams, you have an AA team and then it'll become, the Frontier League will become the National Association. So an NA team and an AA team. I think that would be really cool, or just some off-season tournaments maybe. You can't really do off-season tournaments here in Chicago unless you want to be playing snowball. We will be talking to some Chicago Snowballs at some point here. We did cover, if you go on our social medias, their game at Wintrust Field where the Boomers play. We missed the game at Northwestern Medicine where the Kane County Cougars play. A couple of other things that were going on in myself, Dalton, and Nick's lives, so we couldn't get out to see that one. But there is another round at both Wintrust and Northwestern Medicine, so make sure you get your tickets and get out there. They'll also be going to Ozinga Field quite a bit where the Windy City Thunderbolts play. They'll be going to the Steel Yard down in Joliet where the Joliet Slammers play. So make sure you get over there. I know it's a little confusing. You're going to have if the leagues merge, you'll have 2 Steel Yards between the Gary South Shore Railcats and the Joliet Slammers. But I guess more the merrier, I guess. I'm more of an Iron Man guy myself. Let's digress, though. We'll talk about Northwest Indiana a little bit in just a second with the Bears. But first, to recap more of our hockey talk, I was talking about those two teams that win the Cup. Carolina got the job done on their end, the NHL end of the affiliation. Carolina defeating the Vegas Golden Knights in 6 games. That was last Sunday, while the Wolves were finishing up a loss at home at the Allstate Arena. Right after that overtime frame, the game at the NHL level started up in Vegas. Carolina, a 2-0 victory, and boy, oh boy, it has been incredible to watch. As a man who covered the Carolina Hurricanes for a number of years on a podcast, to watch them, how do I say this? To watch them finally get over the hump, and in a year that nobody expected them to do it. They still didn't have that number one center, or that number one scorer. They still didn't have, really that big defenseman. They were still having goaltending issues. I just went on the MVP podcast Thursday evening. I think it got posted as of Friday morning, talking about how I was so wrong at the start of the playoffs. I gave my buddy Ricky some insight that, hey, I wouldn't bet on Carolina. I said those words, and I will out myself here. I said those words. I said, don't bet on Carolina because I have insider information, and I did. I have insider information that the goaltending situation in Carolina is weird, to say the least. You had Brandon Bussey, who had a hot middle of the season but cooled off. You had Pyotr Kochetkov, of course, being a third string but being injured. And Frederik Andersen wasn't playing too hot during the regular season. Then you see he could never stay healthy year after year. You see him get injured in the Cup Finals again. And then if you're Carolina, you're looking at, oh my goodness, now we got to go to Bussey. And he's been cold all playoffs. Well, he hadn't played all playoffs. So, yeah, he's coming in cold, basically. But he got the job done, and he was lights out. He was stellar. In a series in which we saw multiple four-goal leads erased on both sides, Bussey came in and locked things down. And I think if you're Vegas, you got to really reevaluate your goaltending situation. John Tortorella went into that press conference and said, that's an absolutely ridiculous take that you think I would switch from Carter Hart to Adin Hill. Adin Hill won a Stanley Cup with Vegas in 2023. I don't think it's the craziest idea in the world to switch goaltenders when Carter Hart is the only goaltender in Stanley Cup history to have given up 4 or more goals in the first 4 games of the series. And he did so once again in Game 5. He did not do it in Game 6, but at that point, Carolina played that suffocating defense, that lockdown defense that all of a sudden there's no way that you're going to score against them. They've built their 2-0 lead. Like I said, it is the worst lead in hockey, but they built a 2-0 lead in a cup-clinching game, and they held on to it. And you just have to pat Carolina on the back. Unfortunately, we don't get a chance to see Josiah Slavin win a cup, but his brother, what a year for Jacob Slavin. A gold medal at the Olympics, and definitely a guy that deserves it. And then he goes on and wins his second Stanley Cup. And, excuse me, first Stanley Cup. I'm thinking of Jordan Staal. I was getting into Jordan Staal. Jordan Staal wins his second Stanley Cup. This is his first time doing it as a captain. He won with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2009. But in addition to that, he scored in the first 5 games of this Stanley Cup Finals series. Now, there's an argument. In the NBA, you get Finals MVP for being the best player in the finals. In hockey, the Conn Smythe Trophy is awarded to the best player in the playoffs. Jordan Staal wasn't necessarily the best player in the entire playoffs, but I think the weight of being the only person, unless you go back to like 1926, to have scored in the first 5 games of the Stanley Cup Final, I think that really earns you a spot with the in the Conn Smythe Trophy talks. And then, of course, he does come away with the Conn Smythe Trophy. I mean, Logan Stankoven for the Carolina Hurricanes had been stellar all playoffs. Former Chicago Blackhawk Taylor Hall, stellar as well. And this is one of the points I made on that podcast was other podcasts like Spit and Chicklets and some of your national networks are saying how dumb the Blackhawks are and how asinine they are for healthy scratching Taylor Hall, and now he goes on and becomes a Cup champion. Listen, he was a healthy scratch, and Luke Richardson apologized to both Taylor Hall and to the public about, I made a mistake there, right? But also, Taylor Hall, let's remember, Chicagoans, was not really performing here in Chicago. It just was not going to happen here in Chicago. I'm not saying it's not within him. Obviously, he showed it in these playoffs that he has that dog in him, basically. But it wasn't going to happen here in Chicago in the sort of rebuild situation that the Blackhawks were in. I mean, yes, you had him playing alongside Bedard for a little bit, but look at, even without Taylor Hall this year, it's still a little bit of a rebuild. Even this next year is going to be still a little bit of a rebuild. Now, yes, playoffs are the expectation for this Blackhawks squad, but you can't throw it all on Taylor Hall and go, he was the first overall pick. He's bounced around team to team to team, so he's got to finally find his spot here. Also, that's another thing, too, is this man was a little bit of a walking suitcase for a long time, so you got to figure that this not only feels good to him, but he feels like he's found his home. And his home was not going to be in Chicago as he's aging, a first overall draft pick. You're talking Connor Bedard, Connor McDavid, those were first overall draft picks. Taylor Hall was a first overall draft pick. Now, I'm not saying that he's a bust, but I'm also not saying that he should carry the weight of being a first overall draft pick, if that makes sense. I mean, there may have been other guys available that had better NHL careers. He's had a great NHL career, don't get me wrong. At best, maybe he's a second liner, and that's really where Carolina used him, on that second line with Stankoven. And I believe Jarvis was there as well. But, I mean, it worked. It fit. Everybody played their role on this Carolina team. And it's very cool to see them lift the Stanley Cup, especially when Rob Brind'Amour was the captain of the 2006 Carolina team that won the Stanley Cup. And exactly 20 years later, he's lifting it as a coach. He's been a part of all but 2 Carolina playoff games in their franchise history. I mean, isn't that's a crazy stat to me. Now, it's just over 100 games, but still, 100 games, 100 games. We're not talking about like a storied franchise like the Blackhawks that have been to the playoffs, countless times since 1926. But we are talking about a team that might surprise a lot of people even next year. 16-3 in the playoffs. And yes, we could argue, I did argue that the Carolina Hurricanes had a little bit of an easier run at the start, but it is still the hardest trophy to win in all of sports. I'm still a big advocate of both can be true. They had some teams that didn't have playoff pedigree and experience in Ottawa and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, I think, only makes it to the second round because they had that extra momentum of being the unwanted child of Pennsylvania when you have Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and their rivals over in Pittsburgh who have had so much playoff success that all of a sudden you as the organization in Philly have to go, yeah, we want to finally beat them in a playoff series. And they got that done, but they just didn't have gas left in the tank or playoff experience to get through a team like Carolina that's been there, done that. Same thing when you get to the Eastern Conference Finals against Montreal. Young team being led by a great coach in Martin St. Louis, but I don't know if they're quite yet there. So did the real challenge for Carolina come in the Stanley Cup Finals? Yes, I do believe so. But did they stand up to and rise to that challenge? Absolutely. And they are the 2026 Stanley Cup champs. Hey, we didn't get to American football, but that's okay because we talked a lot about the FIFA World Cup and what is about to become soccer. This is going to be football for Americans pretty soon as the love for the World Cup rolls on. We covered baseball. We covered hockey. Unfortunately, the Wolves fell short. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk to a couple of those gentlemen in maybe some exit interviews, maybe have them on the show. I know we talked to that Wolves team all season long, but looking forward to another AHL season come fall. But we got a whole summer full of sports to get to first, and you can catch all of your Chicagoland and then some news right here on AM 1410, specifically on the Rise. Nick Johnston and Dalton Cooper not able to join me today, but I am Mike Napolitano, and you are tuned in to AM 1410 WRMN. I'll see you next week.
When you're your car needs trusted care, think All Around Auto Body in Schaumburg. Family owned for over 30 years, they deliver high-quality collision repair and dependable service from start to finish. Call 847-352-3825. They're located at 501 Morse Avenue in Unit D. Get your vehicle back in shape with the experts who care. All Around Auto Body, where your car is treated like family. Call 847-352-3825 today. Proud sponsors of America's First Responders Fest.
They were best friends, inseparable in fact, until the day Miguel died. Every day his friend visited Miguel's grave. Rain, wind, weekends, holidays, every day. Miguel's closest friend, Capitan, his German Shepherd, is a symbol of loyalty to which we can all aspire. Loyalty. Pass it on from passiton.com.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 12 o'clock.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by KFC. Kane County Sheriff's Office says it will begin a 3-week traffic enforcement campaign ahead of the 4th of July holiday running through July 6th. Deputies will focus on removing impaired and unbuckled drivers from the roads as part of a statewide effort involving more than 200 Illinois law enforcement agencies. Officials are urging drivers to plan ahead, use designated sober transportation options, and ensure everyone in the vehicle is properly buckled up. Cook County officials are projecting a $550 million budget deficit for 2027, warning that the shortfall will require careful planning and difficult decisions. The gap is driven in part by an expected loss of federal funding, including Medicare-related cuts, as well as a court ruling that found the county improperly used transportation tax dollars for non-transportation purposes. County leaders say rising personnel and health care costs are also contributing to the deficit, with both the general and health funds facing major shortfalls. Officials say a public hearing on the preliminary budget forecast will be held July 9th. A former Naperville man, 21-year-old Merlin Liu, has been charged with multiple felonies, including hate crime and arson, in connection with the June 9th cross burning in Chicago's Grant Park. Prosecutors say Liu admitted to setting the cross on fire, which also led to charges of criminal damage, reckless conduct, and disorderly conduct. Authorities say the incident is being treated as a hate crime, and Liu is scheduled for a detention hearing following his arrest earlier this week. New applications for unemployment benefits fell by 4,000 last week to 226,000. Assigned layoffs remain historically low. The Labor Department says the job market continues to show resilience with steady hiring and an unemployment rate of 4.3%. The national average price for regular gasoline has dipped below $4 a gallon for the first time since March, according to AAA. The drop follows falling oil prices after a new U.S.-Iran agreement eased concerns about global oil supplies. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potting?